Hey, I'm Allison Hare, and welcome to Little Left of Center, the podcast that interviews culture changers that are reshaping our world and breaking new ground. You know that feeling when you're in Target and your kid has thrown themselves on the floor crying because you won't get them that huge-ass Disney Frozen 2 Ultimate Arandelle Castle playset? Just me? You know that feeling when you've been texting and calling your teenager all night with zero response and your mind immediately rushes to the worst possible scenario? You know that feeling when you've got so much on your plate, you have a splitting headache, and your kids are begging for you to just build Legos with them, and you keep saying no and feeling like an a-hole? If any of these scenarios touch a nerve with you, I think this episode might be just for you. Parenting is hard. Motherhood is hard. Today's guest is Liz Carlile of Motherhood Unstressed. And Liz is an entrepreneur. She's a mother of two, a TedX speaker, holistic health coach, a yogi, and a fierce advocate for self-care for mothers. And I think as a mom, it's one of those things that is put way down the list. And motherhood is freaking hard. And I think the pressure that we put on ourselves is so much greater than we have, but also the pressure of performing out in society, or that society puts on us to be the perfect mother. And I think there are ways to address it. And I noticed I love sitting down with Liz and talking with her as someone who is deeply plugged into the mom communities online and offline. And I noticed that the guilt and shame is just off the chain with moms everywhere. But there are such simple and easy to do options that you can invite into your life and start to lower the blood pressure a bit and get a better handle on things. We will dig in just a minute. And in the meantime, I always like to take a few minutes to update you on what's going on with me and what's going on with Little Left of Center. We are just a few days from Thanksgiving, and my very favorite day of the entire year is the day after Thanksgiving. We do celebrate Christmas, and the day after Thanksgiving, we always get our tree and we decorate the tree. Our home is already decorated for Christmas. We are one of those crazy November 1st, we are in Christmas mode families. I've also purposely kind of kept the plans light over Thanksgiving because from a self-care perspective, I need to chill out. I need to get stuff done. I need to not be running around all the time, constantly going from this thing to that thing. So I'm really going to take advantage of the opportunity to work on my TED Talk, to work on finishing the Little Left of Center website, and work on finishing the programming for my Press Play podcast program, which I swear I'm going to be releasing the information very soon, if not already by the time this airs. Every new episode of mine airs on Tuesday, and right now I'm recording this on the Saturday before that, so I'm hoping to get it all handled before then. But I did want to leave you with two fun facts about podcasting. One is personally about me, and so I have an interview podcast. So generally I will have guests on that are culture changers, and I put a lot of thought and effort into the preparation for it. So normally what I do is I kind of consume everything I possibly can. It helps for me because I'm such an auditory learner. It helps for me if there are podcasts or audio interviews because my brain just thinks it switches on somewhere in my brain where it kind of excavates between the questions or the answers that are answered or asked and answered. And I come up with all of these ideas that what can I bring out, or wow, that was so interesting, but what about this? And that's kind of how my brain works. And so I'll typically write about 10 questions and kind of have that as a guide. But I really take a lot of effort to research and learn as much as I can. But I love seeing the person in action because that's when the questions really come up for me. But fun fact about me is that I never use notes during the interview. I want it to be conversational. I want it to be real. And it's also an exercise for me to help with my self-trust that if the guest wants to go in a different direction, we're going to go in that direction. And I need to trust myself that I'm going to be present and listening and quick on my feet to be able to go in that direction. Because generally, if it is like a natural conversation, people are far more likely to stay tuned in than if it was just to keep it on my schedule or these, 10 questions that I might have. So again, I don't use notes at all. Usually I typically will have a burning question that I'm dying to ask. So I like to kind of put those towards the front if I can, or the front of the interview, and it just flows and it works for me. So that's a little fun fact about me. I don't use notes during interviews. Another fun fact about podcasting is people ask me, well, how do you get the guests that you don't know? And what I think is interesting is that formal emails, like writing emails or cold emails, I don't use those ever. I usually slide into people's DMs. And the way I do it is usually I want to keep it very short, very succinct. And I might say, I'm Allison Hare. I've got a podcast called Little Left of Center. I interview culture changers. And what I want to do is I usually ask them for the interview right up front. I would love to talk to you if you're open and you're available. And here's why. So it might be something about I'm really interested in parents that are, or therapists or whatever, that are trying to raise great kids in a broken home. Or it might be something like, I think your work is really important, and here's one compelling reason why. And then just leave it at that. And I get so much more responses from that. And again, email just feels so archaic. Don't you think so? But sometimes there are people that say, it might go through their assistant or PR person, and they'll say, please send me an email. And I'll be glad to do that, of course. But DMs are the way to go, even for the big accounts. And again, there are some that go unanswered, and some people may or may not see them. I'll just assume that they don't see them. But yeah, that's another fun fact about podcasting. So with that, we'll get started with Liz Carlile. You're going to love her, and I strongly recommend you check out her line of CBD products. She's got Motherhood Unstressed CBD, which is so amazing for mothers, but she's got so many great tips and guidance for us as moms. So have a listen, and thank you again. Hi.
Hello.
We are here with Liz Carlile of Motherhood Unstressed. I'm so excited to have you on Little Left of Center podcast. And I found you through social media. And then I started to look on your Instagram accounts, and I started to see some of the posts that you had. I'm like, that really resonates, Like, I really feel like motherhood in general has been underestimated, or people may diminish the role of a mother, and understanding what it means to not only be a mom, but be an empowered mom, and one that takes on self-care and takes on the deserve level is what really kind of drew me to you. So I'm so glad that you were able to come and sit down with me today. And Liz Carlile, I promise I'll let you speak, but Liz Carlile is, she is started out as a blogger, a podcast host of Motherhood Unstressed, and has a line of CBD, has recently had a TED Talk, and has been featured on a lot of really well-known publications, I think NBC and some other really well-known publications for what you've done. So I am dying to have you here because I want to understand, you've got a really large following. What do mothers tell you? What you have your finger on the pulse of motherhood and have this audience. What is stressing us out so much?
That's such a wide question, because it's different for everyone. And really, it was that initial blog where I talked about how hard motherhood was for me, how surprised I was at that fact. Everyone tells you, oh, being a mother is the best thing in the world. You're going to be tired, but you'll love every second of it. And I didn't. I I was drowning. And I didn't think that I questioned if I had the strength to do it for the next 18 years. And that thought terrified me to the point of, hitting rock bottom essentially. And
did you have postpartum depression, do you think?
Never diagnosed, but it was definitely postpartum blues and just feeling overwhelmed all of the time and scared all of the time. Like, am I being a good enough mom? Am I doing a good enough job? I can't be. I must be failing because I look on social media and everyone else is rocking it and their kids are in adorable outfits with the number next to how many months they are. And I'm like...
And the mom body is just snapped right back too.
Right. And I'm just
they're in a bikini after 3 months.
Right. And even if they're not, they just seem so happy.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not happy. Like, I'm stressed the F out. And so that initial blog post really, like you said, it hit a nerve with a lot of women. And that actually surprised me too. But it shouldn't, because I feel like whenever we're going through something really dark, there's so many other people out there who are going through it or have been through it too. And then when you talk about it, it's like, you can relax and
it's almost like permission.
Others.
Yeah. It's almost like permission to be not perfect.
Right. Exactly. That's what people really want. People really want connection and to feel seen. And so when you say something that connects with them, they feel seen in that moment. Even if you've never spoken to them directly or met face to face, they do in that moment feel seen. That's why the greatest entertainers and speakers are people who can tap into how people truly feel and mirror it back. And then they feel uplifted. And that's honestly how I've grown my following. And that's all I've done. That's the secret sauce is dug deep and revealed things that are going on with me and my relationships and being a mother and my struggles and reflected it back. And it's resonated with other women. But in doing that, I don't just say, oh, my life is in shambles. I know. I also provide key steps into bringing yourself out of it, like I did as well. And I believe in that wholeheartedly. That is the mission. That is the goal, is to uplift as many women as possible. That's it. Like, if I'm doing that, I win.
I think there is a shift in perception too, that I think that women naturally feel very competitive with each other, whether it's spoken or not. And I also think that the landscape is, that there is only room for one or just a few of them. And I do agree with you that lifting and the community that you build as a mother, of support, of understanding, of empathy, makes a huge impact. And I'm wondering, when you were going through, the adjustment of being a mother and feeling overwhelmed and feeling like you were at rock bottom, how did you pull yourself out? What were the tools that you used and what did it feel like?
Yeah. I think because I didn't want to be miserable anymore. I was done. You hit a point where you can just kind of white knuckle it through and keep doing the same thing, or you can take a drastically different tactic. And I was like, I'm done. So the next day, from rock bottom moment where I'm bathing my son, I talk about it in the TED Talk, and he's looking up at me and I just start to cry and thinking like, what am I doing? What is this life? I decide to go for a run the next day. Something tiny, something minuscule, but it was a first step to swinging a wider door. And it was handing my son off to my husband, putting on my shoes, getting out the door, even though I'm feeling this mom guilt welling up, even though I'm going to be gone for 20 minutes, but it still twinges something inside of us, I think, that, we shouldn't be leaving our children to be selfish. That was the first step. And then after that, it was little stolen moments of journaling, of meditation. Meditation is huge for bringing back balance and a sense of knowing who we really are again, that woman that we were before we had kids. Because if you lose touch with her, you don't really know who you are or what's going on. You're kind of always in this state of distraction. So you want to really make a concerted effort every single day to touch base with who you really are, whether it's through meditation or journaling or going for a walk or something that's just for you. And that will really, I think, up-level your life in countless ways, and up-level your relationship with your husband or partner, kids, everything, work.
Sure. So back then, did you have a full-time job? Were you working in a corporate environment?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about it.
Oh, my God. It's so different than what I'm doing now.
Yes.
I was a federal government employee. Was my first job out of college. I went to Department of Interior. And then from there, when I moved to Atlanta, I worked for the EEOC doing employment law. And so that was where I was working at the time. Right. So very stressful, very overwhelming. But at the same time, I was almost ecstatic to get back to work after I had my first son, because at that point, I felt like I needed help. I needed other women to tell me what to do, to help me, to kind of bolster me up as far as, childcare was concerned. Like I needed a break to go have a warm cup of coffee.
Yeah.
That meant a lot to me. And though work was really stressful, it was also a bit of an escape for me, the kind of escape that I needed, for 7 hours a day.
But I feel like this is never talked about, that when a woman becomes a mother and through whatever transition they go through, there is a lot of unspoken questioning of, my life is not just a mom. I'm still that person that I was. And so a lot of new moms start businesses, and you find a lot of moms go into photography or go into whatever it is that interests them, even crafting or something that kind of gives them some kind of pleasure. And I remember, so I'm a mom of 2 kids, and the first child I had and my second child, when I was on maternity leave, I was climbing up walls. I'm like, I have to think of some kind of business, some kind of great idea. I need to get out of here. And I didn't want to go back to work. I wanted to find that amazing idea. I did not. But again, it's an evolution, and I'm still, working and in the workplace, and it is fine. And I imagine that probably resonates really well with your audience as well. And I want to pause for a minute on the meditation. And I watched your TED Talk a couple of weeks ago, and I thought you did amazing. And I love the message. I thought it was so powerful. And I work for Salesforce. So Salesforce is a really progressive company. I swear to you, there are meditation rooms and mindfulness rooms on every single floor.
Wow.
And I never use them. So after your TED Talk, I went in and I'm like, I'm just going to spend 5 minutes here. And I loved it. But I have a hard time just sitting still. And I wanted to understand, do you know the Enneagram? Do you know what the Enneagram is?
I do.
Have you taken your test?
I do, but I forget my number. I think it was like a 6 or something.
So I'll do this really quick because I'm a 3. A 3 is like all about productivity, about getting stuff done. So 1 is perfectionist. So somebody that has to have everything done perfectly. The second, I'm not sure I remember these exactly, but 2 is the helper. 3 is productivity. Somebody that's very accomplishment focused. And that is me to a T. And I kind of struggle with the meditation of, I have so much shit I need to get done, but I understand that there's value in it. 4 is like creativity, somebody that really expresses themselves in a very creative way. 5 is, I think 5 is more practical. I think 6s are very cynical in general, and they're always looking for like, okay, where's the risk?
Maybe I'm not a 6.
I'm not sure if I'm getting this right. But I know 5s are like very practical. They like to have things proved out. 6 are, they're the people that are always skeptics, and it's good. They kind of have a safety net around them all the time, and then 7s are people that are the life of the party. They may not be very organized, but they are the people that light up a room and are dynamic, and, they're all about fun. And 8s are people that are really bullheaded, people that just kind of know what they want. They're very sure about it. Whenever it's described, I think of President Trump, just somebody who is, kind of all about business and kind of bullish in what they do. And 9, I completely forget. I don't even know.
I'm really impressed that you remembered 1 through 8, honestly.
I'm still kind of learning it. So I say that to say that how, is me being a 3, somebody that's productivity driven, how the hell do I calm myself down enough to really get the benefits of it? I'm sure you coach people about this all day, every day. So tell me more about that.
Yeah. And that's completely normal. Most people, 99% of people, find it really difficult to sit still. The fastest way that I found, and when I'm training people to meditate, is to really activate that sympathetic nervous system through the breath. And once you can control your breath and you start focusing on your inhalations and exhalations, you automatically slow down your system and get into the present moment. It's an act of control, which productivity, centered people should love. And just focusing on that breathing. You could even say a mantra over and over and over again. And that's more transcendental meditation focused.
I've actually taken that course.
Oh, perfect. So that's another way to kind of get yourself in the zone. But really, when I teach meditation to kids, the fastest way to get them centered and grounded is to say, okay, now breathe in for 4, hold, and breathe out for 6. And we do that 4 times in a row. And I'm telling you, it's amazing how quickly your body responds to that. You are in control of your body. And when you can control your breath, you can control everything else. So, thoughts are going to come and go. That's completely normal. The brain is never going to stop, and it shouldn't. But it's when we don't judge those thoughts and we can kind of just observe the thoughts as an outsider and realize that we are not our thoughts, and thoughts don't necessarily have to be true just because we're having them. And a lot of our thoughts are based on old stories that we're telling ourselves, and we can decide to choose a different story and believe a different story. And that was really big for me, growing up thinking one thing, and then saying like, well, actually, is that really true? Do I need to believe that? No, I really don't. It's up to me. And then I was just kind of like the creator of my own life from then on out. And so really focusing on the breath when you're doing meditation, even doing meditation for 3 to 5 minutes, can drastically change the cortisol levels in your body, how well you sleep that night, how deeply you sleep. I mean, the science behind meditation is out there. That's why, so many companies are behind it, why you should be doing it, why everyone and their mother should be doing it. But again, it's really focusing in on, okay, I know I should be doing this. Now, how do I actually do it? Just focus on your breathing and you'll get there. And
so how many times do you meditate a day, or how do you carve it into your life?
My only real success has been getting up before everyone else in the house. That's really the only time I can really get it in, because once I'm up and everyone else is up, it's on. I mean, you know this, you're a mother.
I wake up at 4:30 a.m.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm not quite that. I'm like 4:45, 5 o'clock.
It's still really good.
That's good. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
To stretch and drink water and really kind of connect back with that woman, I think is so critical, because when we don't do that, then we turn into just a reactive state, and we're surviving. We're not thriving. We're not actively directing the course of our lives. And so many people are in that state. Your listener right now is probably mostly in that state, because we all are. If we don't actually take back our lives and say, no, this is not what I'm going to accept anymore. I'm going to accept a beautiful life. I'm going to create and design my life. And going back to what you were saying, so many mothers creating businesses, it's because we don't want to subscribe to the patriarchal 9 to 5, where a lot of us are just kind of shoved through this system. And it's like we're supposed to act like we don't have children. And when we're, at home, we're supposed to act like we don't have a job. And that's insanity. So yeah, I fully believe in more women taking back their lives, creating businesses. And now with the way the world works, you can do that. You can make an amazing income completely online, and that's freedom. If you can just take that first step, figure it out, watch YouTube videos, do what lights you up, whatever that is. And if you don't know, that's okay too. We fail fast, go a different way, keep pushing.
Do you feel like, so what happens when you're at the grocery store, your kids are freaking melting down? They're being obnoxious. They're not listening. How do you get in the moment and chill yourself out to be able to help? Because that's reality, right? So I can, I don't meditate, but in the mornings I do have a ritual. And the ritual is, when I wake up, I follow my breath for 10 breaths. And then I go and stretch for like 5 minutes or so. So I might move my body, just move my body. And then I write in a journal. And that's before I look at any screen. So that is one of the rituals that I've added, and it feels great. So I'm up from 4:30 to 6:30 every morning. So before the rest of my family gets up, that is my golden hour. Yeah. It is the reason why I am as productive as I am and happy. I don't know that I am stressed, but I think there's probably a huge layer of stress that I just don't notice because it's just my normal, my normal way. But I freak out on my kids, and I'm like, damn it, why couldn't I just, maybe I should have meditated. So how do you handle that?
No, I mean, I think you're human, and
Yeah.
And I read something interesting that motherhood is a state of constantly being not assaulted, but pushed to the edge all of the time. You think about that. Think about that as a stress response. If you had an animal in a laboratory experiment and you're constantly sticking at the animal, they're going to freak out. And that's what's happening to us all of the time. You talk about a stress level. We're always being stimulated by stress because of our children, who we love. We love them to death. But at the same time, as a human, as a person, eventually you're going to hit that point where you can't just breathe your way out of it. I mean, if I'm in the store, and this has absolutely happened to me, I will, of course, try to bring it back because I don't want to cause a scene. They're already causing a scene. So I will focus on my breathing in and out, and I will, give them the mom stare. And sometimes I'll put my hand on their shoulder and be like, come on. But yeah, it's hard and it's a process.
I hate my mommy voice. I hate it.
I know, because honestly, I think our natural state, especially with our children, is love and acceptance. And they're constantly amazing us with new thoughts and new things that they're saying. And it's cool. I do love motherhood. Don't get me wrong. But again, when you're under the gun with work deadlines and relationships, we haven't even talked about the husband-wife dynamic, which is its own thing in itself, let alone when you add kids in. It's a lot. And so doing the best you can and having grace for yourself when you do mess up or yell when you wish you didn't yell, or say things like, what's the matter with you? Like someone told me the other day, you never want to say that to your children. That's imprinting.
Say what?
What's wrong with you? What's the matter with you? Never say that. And I'm like, I've definitely said that.
That makes sense.
Great. Traumatizing my child.
Yeah.
So just having grace for yourself. And another important thing is, if you do fly off the handle at your children, to go back and talk about it, apologize, say, hey, mommy, got upset because this and that. It's not an excuse. I love you, of course, blah, blah, blah. And that actually does a lot for repairing any kind of deep trauma that you might have been causing to your child.
That you just imprinted on them.
Even if your kid is like, what are you talking about? It does make a difference when you can go back and kind of talk through any kind of conflict, and it teaches them how to communicate.
I've always taught my son, even though I'm not a big meditator, I'm like, honey, breathe in, breathe out if you're upset. And it's funny because he knows it, because I've been saying it to him since he was a little. I mean, he's still little, but since he was a little toddler. And he's like, it's not helping. But I do think, I'm wondering, so when I think about the words motherhood unstressed, and I think about the pushback that I immediately give that thought of just, okay, it sounds like an ideal state. And I immediately think of, and this came up over and over as I was kind of putting together how our conversation would go, or how I, kind of a guidance of it. And I thought about deserve level, and I thought about how powerful our positions are when we only raise our deserve level. And I think there are so many systemic issues that are, like you mentioned, the patriarchy of not feeling like you're enough, like you deserve enough, like society expects you to be perfect, which I think we all know. I think the veil has kind of been, the curtain's been pulled back on that. But I wonder if that's what you encounter quite a bit, of just people saying, well, I'm a single mom. I'm trying to do this on my own, or I don't have the happiest relationship at home. I'm trying to just keep myself afloat, let alone keep my kids alive, and I'm wondering, you are in a really incredible position and a powerful position where you can make an impact in raising women's deserve level. And I wonder what that looks like for you and for the engagement that you have with your audience, whether it is, through your blog, through podcasts, through whatever means you have. What has that been looking? How do you see it?
Yeah. And that you just said it so perfectly. It's shifting the paradigm of how people think about their lives and what could be. And so many times we don't have a model of someone who is doing something really great. You know, they say, you know, African American boys, when they have a male teacher who's African American, the college rates shoot up because they can see, they have an example, and that's like, oh, I can do it too. Well, the same thing goes for mothers. If you have a mother who is setting the example every single day, hey, I am making my self-care non-negotiable, and here's why, and I'm doing it, and I'm showing you, and I'm talking about it till, you know, my hair falls out, you know, that is something. And even if a woman is seeing that and, you know, rolling her eyes or laughing about it, she's still getting the message. It's still getting down in there into the deep subconscious. And then maybe she wakes up one morning and she thinks, you know what? I'm going to go for a walk because I deserve it. Or, you know what? I need to touch back in with that woman who I was before I had children and before I had this, you know, shaky relationship. And maybe doing something like that improves the relationship. It improves the relationship with herself. She develops a greater sense of self-respect and self-love. And that, to me, like, it's giving me chills right now, is that matters. And so even if it's someone who's skeptical, there's a strong 9, it's, you know, 8.
I forget what 9 is.
Right. That's okay, because it's planting a seed, you know, of what could be. A life is supposed to, I mean, life is so short, really. It is. And so if you can plant a seed to someone to do something for themselves, and it's not selfish, and it's actually really beautiful, and then they do that one day, maybe it's a year later, and then that spreads to their children, to their relationships, to their work, to their parents. Maybe they heal a relationship with someone in their lives. That's everything.
What are some acts of self-care?
Oh, gosh. I mean, we've kind of talked about it. Meditation. I keep going back to meditation because I'm telling you, listener.
It's so easy. It's free.
It's easy. It's free. It's transformational. You will be so much more productive, like you said. You will be so much happier. You will have more resilience. From a brain standpoint, you actually shrink the amygdala, which is the stress and fear response, and you grow your prefrontal cortex, which is, you know, your empathy, your decision making, everything. Time will slow down for you if you take 5 minutes to meditate. So that's my number one. Exercise, you know, and you don't have to go run a marathon. You can walk, you can do some push-ups first thing in the morning, stretch, move your body, get in touch with your body. So many people are like walking heads around. They're not really in tune with the rest of their bodies. And you see a lot of, you know, autoimmune issues coming up, or just people not really feeling well. And then all of a sudden they get a diagnosis and they're like, I didn't see this coming. Well,
you're a certified health coach too, right? So is that, what's the difference between like a certified, is it an integrative health coach?
Right. Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
Yes. Perfect. I think it's the most brilliant thing out there. I wish insurance would pay for it. It pisses me off that the healthcare system is the way that it is. And it's something that I advocate for. And I'm wondering, so like nutrition, eating well, taking a walk, and literally right before you walked up to my door, I read an article in the Skim that said studies show that a 15-minute daily walk or run leads to longer life. It just plain and simple, people are happier, right? And it kind of unlocks so much. So I believe that too. What else? What are some other ways? What are some easy ways that people listening that are trying to figure out, all right, I need to kind of put myself first. What are some ways that
you don't need to go to Mexico for a week-long retreat. These are simple, small
that
things
would be nice too.
I mean, it would be nice. You know, journaling. Think about like 5 minutes of journaling. Write down. It can be something as mundane as writing down your to-do list for the day, because then you're actively getting that out of your brain, out of your body, and onto the pen. I mean, or onto the page, and that's transformational, because then you're not holding on to worry, to stress, to feelings of inadequacy, like all of these things that we hold inside our bodies on a physical level, we're getting out of us. So think about that. Like the walk, you're physically getting anxiety, cortisol, stress out of you as you're walking. Drinking enough water. I know that sounds simple again, but drink more water, cleanse your body from the inside, detox. You know, I said journaling, art, draw, simply just draw for 5 minutes. Think back to something that you enjoyed doing as a small child. Is it skateboarding? Is it,
for my husband, the answer is yes. And he has not stopped.
That's his way. I mean, men need this too. Men absolutely need
It's changed his life to come back to skating, honestly. It's changed his body. It's changed his life.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anything where you are forced back into the present moment, journaling, meditation, skateboarding, walking. When you are
going on a swing as a grown up.
Yeah. If you're not going to get nauseous, do it. Just anything to get you back into the present moment. Maybe, I don't know, taking a really hot shower and noticing how the water feels, or how the really good smelling soap feels as it goes down your body. Really getting in touch in that moment. That's transformational. It can be all of these small things that we never think about. But when you start thinking about it and you start breathing through these moments, you'll start to notice all these little different miracles in your life too. And you'll start to be grateful for little things. A really good meal. Really be there. Really be present. Sip your coffee. Read the newspaper. Read like a real newspaper. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and it's exciting. I mean, read the skim and really enjoy that coffee. But that's something, and that's giving yourself a little internal hug every single day. And it's not like, oh, I made my yoga class for the week, I'm really doing it. No, that's bullshit. Do something every single day for yourself, and you will uplift your life.
Have you heard of earthing?
Yeah, I do it.
You do?
Yeah.
So I've been following Mariel Hemingway, and she, if you know who she is, she's Ernest Hemingway's granddaughter. Mm-hmm. And as you know, the Hemingway legacy is suicide.
Right.
And she has taken a stand as an advocate for anti-suicide and for mental health and pro-mental health. And she's part of this new documentary that's coming out called Earthing. And I think she lives out in, I don't know, Colorado or Idaho or wherever she grew up, Utah, somewhere in the mountains. And she spends her days out in bare feet in the earth, and advocates obviously for the benefits of that. And I think that there is something to be said with just being outside, like I live right on the Atlanta Beltline. So, I almost never go on the Beltline, excuse me, on the weekends when it's crazy and packed. I'll go at 6 a.m. and just go for a walk. And it feels amazing. It's unlocked a lot of joy for me as well. And I want to go back for a minute to your journey that you started as a blog that kind of hit a nerve with mothers, and kind of your own journey of just, what if I did more for myself that was nourishing, that was healthy, and started to get back into a place of joy and a place of capability and feeling like you could take on more? How did the podcast come about? I don't know which. I think the blog came first.
Yeah, the blog was definitely the first. I mean, I was at work. It was a slow afternoon, and I just kind of hammered it out. And I thought maybe my mom will read this. That's cute.
Yeah.
But the podcast came about as I was attending the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and listening to all of these amazing lectures, people I really admired, and it was super interesting to me. I was always lit up, and I just had a thought, I want to talk to them. I want to interview them. I want to pick their brains and get their message out to a wider audience. I mean, and the blog was chugging along. So I thought, what better way to really scale my message than through audio? I mean, because then you can be on your commute, you can be walking your dog, working out, and put on a podcast and learn something. So I wanted to take everything I was learning from IIN and broadcast it out to my audience and kind of tailor it to the mom. The mom who needed to hear this, who's, again, struggling, doing everything she can, and she's not happy with her weight. She's not necessarily happy with her life or her relationships. And how could I give what I'm learning and send that to her and say, hey, listen to this, try this?
So I heard that you, or I listened to your podcast yesterday with Dr. Gundry. You have some really big names on there.
Yeah.
It's got to be amazing to do that. And I understand, being a podcaster too, that just having these amazing conversations with people that are literally changing culture. They are breaking convention. They're saying no to status quo and figuring out a better way and kind of sharing that. So I relate to that in a big way. And I'm curious about your TED Talk. So that's a really big effing deal that you were able to get this. And I'm wondering, how did it come about and why in Colorado?
Yeah. So I had signed up for a free Speakers Bureau email blast. So they send you one once a week because I wanted to start speaking. I was doing the podcast. I had the blog. I wanted to get on more stages and do more in-person events. So I thought, well, let me just put this out there and see if anything comes up in Atlanta. And then I saw this TED Talk audition call out go up. And I thought, well, it's in Colorado, but why not? Why not? And again, this is going back to when you meditate and you take time for yourself, you start to see little miracles popping up all the time.
Synchronicities. Yeah.
Yes,
it's like manifesting.
Yes, it absolutely is. And something I would never have thought of before. And so I sent in my audition tape. It was like a 3-minute video that I did in my basement. The kids are running around upstairs. I'm telling them to shut up. I'm very unstressed.
You didn't edit that out?
No, I did. The third take was fabulous.
Right.
And so, you don't know what's going to happen. They reach back out. They say, we want to hear your full speech. Do a 10-minute audition. I did it. I got it. I mean, this is out of like hundreds and hundreds of people too. So again, amazing. It was like feeling very blessed. But I come to find out the day of the TED Talk was on Mother's Day. And my speech was on motherhood and self-care. I mean, it couldn't have been any more perfect. That's when you start to look around and be like, okay, well, I fully believe that the universe is supporting me because I'm putting out positivity and it's just really mirroring it back to me. Like what we put out is exactly what's reflected back at us at the end of the day. Some people are like, oh, the universe doesn't care, this and that. But it's like, it is kind of a natural law. What you put out does come back.
It's quantum physics.
It is. Yeah, it is. And the science is actually catching up to that.
I think so too. So did you practice a lot? Like I was following Heather Monahan. Do you know who she is?
It sounds familiar.
She's this amazing woman, and she started a podcast, I think in April or May, and has hit like over 1 million downloads. And I think she's really well known in the media industry. I think she was the CRO, the chief revenue officer of a big media company, and her first guest was Gary Vee.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yes. And she's had these amazing guests, and she's fantastic. And she just had her first TEDx speech, and she kind of chronicled through her podcast, through social channels, her preparation for it and how, intense it was. And I'm like, oh my God, like one of my goals is to have a TED Talk. Yeah. That's kind of how all of this began was, what do I want to do? And that was kind of it. So again, I'm putting it out into the world. I'm a public speaker by trade, by nature. And apparently I have a lot to share. But and so going through this, I'm like, wow, this is a way bigger deal, and I wonder what your preparation was like for that.
And that's what I kind of learned as I was going through it. You have a speaking coach, you have a wardrobe consultant.
Thank God.
Right. Oh, please. So yeah,
you kind of styled me indirectly.
I know. I love it.
Miss Influencer. Yes.
So I, obviously my coach was in Colorado, so we would do Zoom meetings, and we had, 2 or 3 where you would go through the entire speech, and then you would sit down and they would say, well, think about this or change this, or you did this. Like but it was fantastic because then you can really tweak, and you have someone looking at you that can really help you. And that's their full intention. They're volunteers. They're there to make you look better, which for me, like, I have zero ego. I'm like, tell me all of the things so that I can do the best job I can do. And, the day, we did do a dress rehearsal, which I thought was great. I flew in early for that. But the day of the talk, it was just electric. It was exciting, and you step on that stage and you don't know what's going to happen. And you're there and the audience is there, and you really do feel this energy, and it's special, and there's cameras everywhere. And I didn't actually know that I was going to do the meditation that day. I felt the energy of the crowd, and I wanted to not just talk about self-care. I wanted them to actually experience it and experience how easy and accessible it really was. So like halfway through the speech, I was like, I'm going to do it. And it worked out really great.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was just very kind of ethereal.
You're not really supposed to go off script from what I can
really
tell. So that's great.
You're really not. But it was great. And it was like, it was like 30 seconds or something. So
what was the response like, or has been like? Because this came out in July, right?
I think, it officially, like the actual TED Talk was in May. I think they all came out in July. it's been such a game changer. You know, once you have that on your life resume, you have so much more legitimacy, and really, it's a sense of pride. It's like you stood up on that stage in front of an audience. You faced one of the biggest fears that most people have, which is public speaking, and you rocked it, and that's awesome. You know, that you can always touch back on that if you're not feeling so good about yourself. Like, hey, I got that in my back pocket.
So tell me about the line of CBD.
Oh,
this is you're like, oh,
pivot,
yeah, I forgot. Well, CBD is so hot right now, right? So everybody and their mother is taking CBD. Yeah. But there's a lot of misinformation out there. There are a lot of bad products that aren't as potent or aren't as pure. So I want to understand a little more about how that helps you. And I saw something on a TV show that you did that I thought was brilliant about why CBD. So please share.
Yeah. So to take it to the most basic level, CBD is short for cannabidiol, which comes from the cannabis plant. Most people think, of marijuana when they hear the word cannabis, but marijuana is a genus of the plant that has a higher level of THC in it. Hemp is hemp because it has low THC and higher CBD. Now, THC and CBD are just the most studied compounds. So it's actually over 100 compounds in the cannabis plant. And they're doing tremendous studies on CBN, CBG, and the effects that they have on the human body. But CBD is amazing for improving your body's own endocannabinoid system. Every mammal on Earth has an endocannabinoid system. And when that system doesn't have enough cannabinoids, we actually produce our own through good diet and exercise. When we don't produce enough, we do feel more anxious, more depressed, more generally unwell, kind of errant, in our thoughts. But when you add in a phytocannabinoid from the hemp plant, you do feel more balanced, more calm. You feel like how you should feel to be at your optimal level. That's the best way I can describe it. Like, you take CBD, you're not going to feel drugged out. You're not going to feel altered as if you just took, a Valium or something. Like, it's not going to happen. So a lot of people, they take it and they're like, well, nothing happened. It's like, no, keep taking it, build up your endocannabinoid supply, and then really see how you feel. And then when you don't take it, you'll definitely notice it.
My husband loves it when he is sore from working out or skateboarding or something. He swears by it, or if his back hurts. So
absolutely.
I love this stuff. I take I have the transdermal patches that last for 24 hours. And I love those. I always forget to take them because generally I feel okay,
Right.
But I'm curious as to why CBD for your brand, for you, and how you came into that. What has it done for you?
Yeah. So I always knew that I wanted to have a product. The podcast was going, the blog was going. I was working for so many other brands, and I continue to do that. And I love that. But I wanted something for myself and my company. And so I was looking at different adaptogens, like mushrooms and things like that, because
apparently shrooms are like the new CBD. It's like the shrooming or whatever it is.
And the psychedelic ones are coming out too. Probably
I
won't
need to try those.
Yes. But when I tried CBD as part of an influencing campaign, and I had never tried it before. I was still working for the government. So I was like, I don't even know if I can take this. This is cannabis. And I was like, I'll just take it. And so I took it, and, it was very subtle. But again, I was like, you know what? I do feel better. I do feel less anxious. I'm rocking through my to-do list every single day. I'm feeling more resilient. Again, post-workouts, because I was running and weightlifting, I felt like I could bounce back faster. So I was like, I need to research this more. I need to learn more about this. And I started reading all of the academic studies that are coming out of Israel and South Korea. There's a plethora. And I was like, this is going to be huge. I need to get in on this. And my brand was Motherhood Unstressed. What's more unstressing than cannabis? It was fabulous. It was just, again, going back to alignment and synchronicities. It was almost too perfect. And I just kind of kept putting one foot in front of the other and figured out how to start a product line. And, YouTube is a beautiful thing. The internet is a beautiful thing. If you want something in life, you're listening to this and you're not really sure how to go about it, just take the first step. Just start doing research. And, again, if you're going to come out with a product line, make sure that you really do your homework, because you can have the best marketing campaign in the world, but if you have a crap product,
your product sucks. Yeah.
No one's going to reorder it, And so I wanted to make sure that I really had a quality USA grown organic hemp product. And so we do. And we're expanding. We're coming out with gummies and
I saw that. Caps. I saw that on your thing that you were testing some gummies.
It's really good.
I would be popping those all day long,
and then you would be asleep.
Right. And then I would just be sugar highed up or something. But one thing that stood out to me from the broadcast that you did on that is that moms generally, when they come home at night, they're drinking wine and they are, self-medicating. That it is part of their routine to drink wine. And a lot of moms will go right into alcohol addiction, whether they admit it or not, by just that dependency of some kind of taking the edge off. Yep. And I love that this was more of a natural alternative to that. And I'm wondering what the response has been like from people, from your customers that are buying that, of how their lives have been changed or altered, or how they've been able to change their lives with it.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. When we do self-medicate with alcohol, we actually lower our vibration. We damage our liver. We cut off creativity, because essentially we're dumbing ourselves down so that we don't feel. And so with hemp, it actually,
that's an American thing, by the way.
Yes. 100%. Yeah. And I get it. People are stressed out and they're doing the best that they can. And this is definitely a culturally accepted thing. I mean, there's t-shirts and wine glasses all about, wine time with mom, stuff like that. Like, it's just part of our culture. But when you take hemp, which, you're going to actually sleep better, you're going to be in, that REM sleep longer per night. You wake up feeling more productive and happier. And so you don't need to self-medicate. And some people could argue, well, isn't this just the next thing? It is in a way, but it's also a way to get to where you want to be so that you're more effective. It's something that's going to help you live the life you want to live, and then you don't have any regrets for having an extra hemp pill from the night before or whatever. It's helping you. It's helping you get to where you want to be versus hurting you.
Can kids have CBD?
Absolutely.
They can? Is it safe for that? Or do you give them like half a dose or something?
Yeah, because animals and children have more sensitive endocannabinoid systems. So you always want to reduce the amount. You always want to make sure you're using an organic product. Because hemp, when it's not organic, sucks the metals out of the soil. It's a great phytoremedial. They actually use it for oil spills.
I have no idea what that means, but
cleans the environment. Yeah, I mean, it cleans up oil spills. It's that powerful. So you absolutely don't want to be putting that into your body and paying a lot of money to do that too. So yeah, the Charlotte's Web line, which is probably the most famous CBD company out there, they started their own program to help a girl who was having seizures, this young girl, and she's alive today and doing well. So yes, absolutely. From a medical standpoint, and just if you're worried about them having ADHD or, focusing issues, which they're kids, they're going to, be rambunctious.
Yes.
But it's so much better than, prescription drugs, which are going to alter their brain chemistry and destroy their livers. I mean, and I have so many clients who have gotten off depression medication, anxiety medication, which are just so terrible for your body and your brain. And then especially mothers too, who have just had children, they're worried about, well, can I take this while I'm breastfeeding? There's cannabinoids in breast milk. So if you're stressed out, you're depressed, you're feeling really anxious, CBD can be a great option for you.
That's huge.
It's huge.
What, so you're an influencer as well. So you have companies that will offer you affiliate programs or pay you to, promote their products or services. What is the craziest thing people have asked you to do that you're like, no?
No.
I'm sure that has happened.
That's a tough question. There's just been so many. No, I think I'll get a lot of like strange ones, like for baby products. And I tell them, I have a 4 and a 7-year-old. Why are you reaching out to me?
Yeah.
So people who you can clearly tell didn't really research. They're just kind of like email blasting everyone. I don't know. I can't think of a really strange product. I'll have to think about that one.
Do you have to be very mindful of which ones you take?
Oh, yeah.
You have more of a natural kind of approach. And, I'm sure there are a lot of chemical laden things that you can, like promote or whatever. Are you very conscious of that? Or I guess you have to be.
Yeah. I mean,
You're doing this full time. This is a big deal.
Right. But I think the second that you're inauthentic with who you partner with, you kind of lose your credibility. So I had a lot of like meat companies reaching out to me, and that's not something I'm not 100% vegan, but I do live a more plant-based lifestyle. And I am, for animal rights. So when that happened, I just kind of said, no, thank you, but no.
Right.
And I'm always very gracious. Like, thank you. Thank you for reaching out to me. Thank you for thinking that I would be a good partner for you. Like that's again, gratitude, and you're expressing that gratitude. But at the same time, it's kind of like you do have to stay in alignment with your belief system, because then, what do you stand for? That said, I am working with a Atlanta influencer campaign right now. And I did just get my lips done, and I love them.
They
and
look
this is
great.
not natural. But again, you're still who you are. And I've always been, open to, well, let's try this, or let's see if this makes me feel better. Because again, at the end of the day, you have to feel good about yourself and what you're doing.
It's all an evolution too, I mean, I'm trying to go more natural, and I'm actually going to do plant-based in January.
Nice.
I do love steak, but I just feel much better when I eat clean, and I have to figure out what that means, or what I'm going to do, and kind of map it out. But it's part of, do you know Jesse Itzler's Build Your Life Resume program? So it's part of that
fabulous.
too. Yeah. So it's part of that.
He's an Atlanta guy.
Yes, he sure is. He is everything, that guy is, he's pretty extreme. But yeah, so that's one of the, so every month as part of the program, you pick a new winning habit or something to introduce into your life, and so I started in September. So September was making my bed, all beds. So all beds are made, which never, ever, ever happen. But now I can't not make it. Like I can't deal with like an unmade bed, which it was just my life before. And October was no phone with the kids. And that was really hard. That was really
surprisingly hard, I bet.
Not surprisingly hard, but very hard. And I failed a lot at that. But I'm trying to be more conscious about it. And November is, this month I'm doing a pay it forward, where I pick somebody and say, how can I help you today? Do you need a connection, resources, no strings attached? Just tell me what you need.
So people look at you like, what's your angle?
Maybe. I don't know, but it feels good. No strings attached. Just what do you need? And nice. I'm surprised, in the month of Thanksgiving. So I figure, how can I serve, and I feel like people have been forthcoming and ask, this is what's on my mind. What can I do? So it's kind of fun.
That's
it's
amazing.
kind of fun to be able to do that. And I have no idea what December will be, but this is not my interview. I'm interviewing you. Tell me, what do you do for fun?
Oh my gosh.
What's like your thing?
So, easy
Who
answer.
Are you?
My biggest thing for fun is travel. Travel to a brand new city, or to a city that you've been before, and do something totally different. And then eat the food and meet new people. I always like when I travel now, especially because of the show and everything, I can connect with people in that city who are doing amazing things and interview them for the podcast. Like that's one of my favorite things about having this platform. It enables me to, I was going to go to this city anyway, but now I can connect with this Broadway playwright and interview him, which is something I did last week. I mean, just mind-boggling things like that. And I feel like whenever people travel, you again are forced back into the present moment. You don't know the way to the restaurant. You got to figure it out. You got to learn your way around the subway system, or you have to, take this back road through country that you've never seen before. It's enlivening. It's so beautiful. So that's who I am really at the end of the day, is a wanderer, a traveler, a seeker. And so I love it. And
where's your favorite place to go? Where have you been?
God. So New York is always.
What blew you away
about New York?
In general, anywhere you went that just rocked you.
I think just even a new place, when you get off the plane, it smells different. There's a different energy, and I'm really big on energy, obviously. So tapping into that energy, New Orleans was a really special place for me. Anywhere where you can actually feel a more vibrant, or just even a different vibrational energy, I think is really interesting to my brain. And then food, like go to a region and eat their dish or what they're famous for. That's really exciting and fun for me.
That's interesting that you picked New York and New Orleans that are very kinetic, vibrant cities, but your thing is like chilling out and relaxing. And I wonder if like a place that is just plains, would not be of interest to you, like, is it the people that kind of fuels you?
I think so, because, it's funny you say that, because when I was in 10th grade, my parents moved us out of Washington, D.C. to Brainerd, Minnesota, which it's a very small town. Oh, it's freezing. 2.5 hours north of the cities and Plainville. And the people were so nice and genuine. But for me, it was deadening on a soul level. Like it was literally everything was dead in the winter. And it was just very simple living. And I appreciate it now, as a parent, like it would be a great place to raise your kids. But as someone who had just come from the energy of Washington, D.C., riding the subway with my friends to go to the mall and things like that, that was a shock to my system. And I was definitely depressed, when that happened, because I was like, what is this? And it's not unlike how I felt when I first had my son, in that everything kind of like came to a crashing halt. And I was like, okay, what's next? Like, I'm bored, kind of thing.
But it sounds like you have organized your life to be in vibrancy, to be...
I have to.
Yeah, to be constantly sparked. I relate to that. That's why I have a podcast interviewing culture changers of people that are new. So it's like a neophile kind of thing of just, what's new and what's next.
Absolutely.
So tell me, how can people contribute to your mission? What would be like if somebody were hearing this and wanted to act and say, you know what, that makes sense to me? What would that look like for you?
The most beautiful thing that could come out of this conversation is that someone listening would take action today, take action tomorrow, and do something for themselves. Sit in meditation and breathe and listen to your heartbeat for 5 minutes. Do that. And then go into the world and be kind to your spouse, be kind to your children, be kind to the person behind you in line who was huffing and puffing because they had to wait an extra 5 minutes, and spread that loving energy out into the world, because that is powerful. That does change the rest of the world on a vibrational level. It does. And you think, oh, this is so woo-woo and crazy, but it's not. Because when you're a happier person, you make others happier too, just by being yourself.
I think it's funny, the woo-woo comment, because people are very sensitive over the woo-woo kind of thing, like your level of woo. But I think it's becoming more normalized too, that there is a reality and a vibrational energy that really does make a huge difference. I mean, how many places have you walked in that you just want to walk right out? It's just not feels right. Something doesn't feel right, and I think that stuff is really important. So I want to kind of take off the stigma of being too woo, or not being, being so esoteric,
Well, think about, you walk into a meeting at work and you can feel the fear, you can feel the anger, you can feel the tension. That's not made up. You feel that.
Yes.
And so if you can breathe through those moments, you could potentially shift the energy in that room. And then who knows, you could get a promotion, or you could make Cindy from HR a little bit nicer to the people that she's serving. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, but honoring how you feel in that room, that's real.
I think the other half of that is empathy and compassion, at least from what I'm hearing. So, if Cindy is being, in a bad mood, and kind of acknowledging that maybe she had a really tough day, and kind of offering grace.
And maybe no one's ever acknowledged her before.
Yes, but I think that whole grace thing is really where we started this conversation out, about grace for yourself and grace for others. And again, it just boils down to empathy and compassion. So how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so Instagram's probably the easiest way, Motherhood Unstressed, or my website, motherhoodunstressed.com.
Well, I love it. Well, thank you so much, Liz. I appreciate you being with me today and sharing all this goodness with my audience. So I love it.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fabulous.
Thank you. Didn't you just love Liz from Motherhood Unstressed? I hope you caught as many of our practical takeaways that you can use right away as I did. And I've also linked her info in the show notes so you can connect with her or even grab some of your own Motherhood Unstressed CBD and get a nice, healthy way to bring your stress level down. In the meantime, Little Left of Center is not only available on your favorite podcast app, these episodes are also broadcasting on Decatur FM and Salesforce Radio. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, please make sure you do so you never miss an episode of these perspective-shifting conversations. The moment you click the share button and send it to people you know, it is the clearest indicator to me that these messages are resonating. Stay tuned for sign-up info for Press Play podcast program and click on the show notes to connect with me on the socials. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you next week.